All right, duet time, huh? Okay, so I have a pad here. If you want to another chair.
I didn't mean to do that.
You meant to do that?
I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, you didn't mean to do that? You're supposed to say I meant to do that. All right, so go another chair somebody, and we'll use these two pads. I'm assuming they sound different. So this is a snare duet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me look over your chair. So it's on the same page. All right, that's cool. All right.
We got like the first page.
All right, something that's really good about having these two pads is that they sound different. So when you guys do play this, you want to make sure your snare drums sound different. The reason why is if they sound exactly the same, it's hard to tell that there's two parts going on. So we want to hear a little bit of a difference. So you want to pick two snare drums that you think sound good, that you feel comfortable playing, but make sure they're a little bit different sounding. Okay. This is 3 pages long?
Yes.
Can you guys get through the whole thing?
No, we got the first page and we're working on the second.
All right, so this is 3 minus 1. You got through the first page. And what did you say about the second one?
We're working on it. We got some of it done.
And then third page, what's up with that?
So we haven't done it yet.
When do you have to perform this?
I don't know. So
I think it's usually in February. So it's coming up pretty quick.
we'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out? You have confidence?
Yes.
All right. The way I always like to approach anything you have to do for solo ensemble or an audition is the sooner you can learn it, the better, because then you have time to make it really good. Sometimes people sort of drag it out and let it take some time, and then by the time they finally learn it, they only have like a week left before they have to actually perform it, which isn't a whole lot of time to make minute changes that actually make the whole thing sound really awesome. So what I would encourage you guys to do is this week, well it's Friday, like even over the weekend, try to make a point to learn. This is double-sided. So you guys need to get this set up so that you don't have any page turns. All right, probably the ideal thing to do, I don't know if you guys feel comfortable doing it like this, is set up your first page, and then second page. That's not the correct second page. All right, so set up your second page, and then let's roll your third page.
Third page?
Yeah. So, okay. When you guys perform it, you see how long that is? You're gonna have a hard time fitting that on one music stand. And so if you guys are reading separate music, that's a lot of music stands to really make things easy. Because what you don't want to do is in the middle of your thing, after that, and turn your page. It's very distracting. So if you guys can get in the habit of sharing 2 music stands holding all this stuff up and just look off both of that, that's going to be the ideal thing for your performance. Can you see it from where you are over here?
All of them.
All right. So, what you guys really need to try to do over the weekend or so is try to learn the whole thing so that when you start playing together, you can work on playing together and then also the details with the dynamics and such. So what I'm going to look at mostly right now is your rhythms, but we will go over the dynamics some because we do have to talk about that and give you time to compare the rest of it the same way. So you can get through the whole page, you said? Up to where? Can you get up to D at least?
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you guys go ahead, however you're going to count it off, start at the beginning and then stop at D. I'll give it a listen. Start however you're going to start it.
1, 2, 3,
3. Okay, so you guys got off from each other, and that's what made it really confusing. Here's where it's really important that you know like the whole thing really well on your own. Is that when you come together like this, then you can start seeing how your part fits in with the other person's part. So when you're playing together, you can stay together, or if something happens like what just happened where you guys got a little fuzzy and you lost it a little bit, then you can recover and pick up where you were at. Like, so like, if part one is going really well and you're not getting lost, and then part two, you get somewhere lost down here, after playing it so many times with your partner, you kind of know where his part's going, so you can kind of be like, all right, I messed this up, I'm just going to abandon it and just pick up here. So you guys need to know it that well. Because what you don't want to do is feel confident about your own parts individually, but then when you play together, it not be so comfortable. And the last thing you want to do is when you're in a judging situation, and you have to depend on each other, is have that issue, because that's going to affect your score. So let's do this. Let's look at a couple sections here. Let's just play the beginning, and then I want you guys to stop here. So it's the first 5 measures. Okay, I'll count you off. First 5 measures. 1, 2, and go. Alright, so hold on. That same thing happened last time.
Wait, there's a rest, right?
Well, somebody has a rest. Who's part 2?
I mean, I have a rest there.
Alright, you have a rest. You don't. Well, you have a rest after beat 1 in that particular measure. But you guys both added another rest. I don't know if you're waiting on each other or what's going on. Try to be a little bit more independent. Read your part and hope the other guy's going to fall in. You do have to depend on each other, but you can't wait on each other because that's going to make things not work out. It's got to keep rolling. Let's do that again. First 5 measures. 1, 2, 3, go. There we go. I'm not sure who messed it up, but here's the thing, is your first measure is the same as your third measure, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play the first 2 measures and make sure we stop together. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that was good. Then the same thing should happen again, except this measure is a little bit different. Let's just do the first 4 measures. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So this measure would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So yeah, you're coming in to beat 1 too early. Okay, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. Good stuff. Okay. Let's try going from here to B, so A to B, and see how that goes. 1, 2, and go. All right, if you mess up, try to just keep rolling with it, okay? Let me stop you if I feel like you need to stop. 1, 2, and go. A to B. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's some good news for this section. There's a lot of different things going on, but at the beginning of each measure, you guys have the same rhythm. And then here, here, here. You guys should sort of aim for those, like they're anchor notes. Like all this other stuff that you're playing in these measures, if that's like really, really messed up, if you guys can get that one hand together every time, it'll really help you tighten the whole thing up. Let's try it again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that one hand with you when it comes up to help you lock it in. So A to B again. 1, 2, 3, go. So when you guys hear the rhythm, there's sort of a melody going on here. You got blah 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 whatever the part is. That's what it's going to sound like to an audience. They're going to hear the bop bop and then a bunch of stuff, and then bop bop and then a bunch of stuff. So you guys need to block into that. And I can probably guarantee you, even if it's not the same rhythm, there's going to be other sections in this piece where similar things happen, where you have matching rhythms and then things that deviate from that. Let's skip around a little bit. Actually, before we skip around, something you guys do need to pay attention to as you get the rhythms down is your accents and your unaccented notes. You do have dynamic changes as well, like you have double forte here, here, piano, piano. You guys need to start incorporating that to your thing, because when you're judged, they're not just going to judge you on your rhythms. Like if you can just play all the rhythms together and it sound good together from the front to the back, that's good, but a judge is going to want to listen to these dynamics too. We're talking about music, we're not just playing one volume the whole time, so you guys need to make sure you're doing that. So from the beginning to A, I'm going to play what you guys have written here. Or I'll focus on part one. But what I want you guys to hear is the rhythm, the dynamic contrast between the accents and the unaccented notes. You guys hear the loud and the soft going on? That's a big part with the whole melody that's going on here. Alright, I know you guys aren't really like learned on this stuff, but we should probably look at some of it. You guys need to clean that up. I imagine you have similar issues elsewhere. Let's look at can you guys play this down here?
Yep.
So you got like a bunch of sticking things going on there. You look at that. Now there are accents in there.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking it's just a typo. When they notate rows they tie it to the first note of the next measure, or they tie it to the note they want to stop at, right? Is that going to play differently than the others?
If we wanted to be literal, it would be played differently. But what I kind of do is, if it's consistent everywhere else, and then you just have one moment where they didn't do that, then I would probably assume that that's a typo.
Okay.
But if you see that consistently happening in other places, then it's probably meant to be that way.
Okay.
So let's just assume that that's a tie.
So if it wasn't, how would it be played differently?
There would be, like if you were a horn player, there would be just a slight little break or a breath mark before you get there. So instead of playing like they're completely connected, you might do something like this.
Okay.
That was, I need to exaggerate more. It would be like a little bit shorter. I think you could probably do something like that even.
And you teach all the kids when it's a situation like that to do 16th note buzzes, right?
It depends on the context, but like if they're playing, I'm not sure what tempo you're using, but if they're playing this, how fast are they doing?
Yeah, about right there.
Yeah. It really kind of boils down to what speed the roll sounds good in.
Yeah.
So like if you did it faster, you could do it if it sounded good, but it almost sounds a little panicky when you play a sixth couplet as a roll there.
Yeah.
If you did it slower, like eighth notes, it'd be a little choppy. If it was like eighth note triplets, you can hear the rhythm in there. So what we're trying to avoid is hearing the rhythm.
Right.
So 16th note is going to be probably your best sound.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it does kind of boil down to how it sounds.
Yes.
But those are some things to consider.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So what I was saying here, guys, in this this stuff here. I can't read that upside down very well, but they have accents in here, so you need to get the sticking down. But the accents are always going to be the single notes in the sticking. Just a little tip here. All right, here. I just played what's happening between all that stuff. So you have 6 couplets in there. Can you guys play this at all? Like, let's play just this measure. Like, 1, 2, 3, just this part. 1, 2, wait. Yeah, we got to play your respective part. We're playing this measure.
Oh, okay.
So whatever part you have, play that. 1, 2, Alright, that wasn't too bad. Then here, let's try that. 1, 2, wait. It's 2 parts of 60 notes. Da 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 da. Part is part 2, same thing. 1, 2, 3. Wait. Part 1? Alright, so you go first, you go second. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and then this part here, let's try that. It's going to be. It's just right, left, right, left. Alright, so let's try doing it in time here. 1, 2, 3, go. Alright, then down here. Six couplets. You're part 1, right? But
Oh, yeah.
you don't go first. You go first. This is your part 2. Right?
Yeah. How's it moving?
You ready?
Let's go.
Here, there's no weird sticking. It's just all simple. You start on beat 2. Rest. Let's try it again. You guys. 1, 2, 3, go. Alright, I don't know why we're putting it in. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, but it's intro close. 1, 2. So let's try it slower, okay guys? 1 and 2 and ready and go. Alright, I'm playing your part for you. You got 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and ready and go.
I'll read that.
Alright, one more time. 1, 2. Alright. Alright, you guys got me a little concerned right now because I don't think you have a whole lot of time left. I'm not saying that you're bad players and you can't do this, but you need to start practicing more. You gotta get this down. There's some hard stuff in here for you, so you gotta make sure you get it down. Alright, let's look at this stuff for a second. I'm gonna play the top line. See, like this is gonna be a handful for you guys. And then here, we got a triplet. Listen to this rhythm for a second. It's very specific and it's kind of challenging. I really want to go over more of this stuff with you guys, but I do need to hit some other people. Okay, so let me give you guys some practicing strategies, and then I'll send you on your way to need to practice. Okay, so you guys, when I asked you, what could you do, you guys basically said, oh, we can do the first page and then a little bit of the second page. That's how most people practice. I'm not a fan of practicing that way. Here's what I'm a fan of, and this seems to be very successful for most people. Read the whole thing so you know what you're getting yourself into, and then you can start identifying parts that are more challenging for you, and then you can focus more of your practicing time on those challenging parts. But outside of that, I think it's always a good idea to work on the beginning, and then work on the ending, and then kind of work yourself towards the middle. And here's why. If you're going to let something not be great, you want it to be somewhere in the middle. Because what judges or your audience remembers, they remember the beginning and how well it started, and they remember the ending and how well it started, but sometimes the stuff in the middle, they don't remember that so well. So, okay, so you can do the first page or so. What I would suggest is start working on this part. Start working on that, and then work yourself towards the middle. But I think what we've also discovered here is that the stuff in the middle is pretty hard for you. We played through this a little bit. This is just a rhythmic thing. There's not a whole lot of rudimentary stuff going in here. But down here you got a lot of flams and a lot of different rhythms. This is going to be challenging for you guys. So you need to spend more of your time practicing that at some point, once you get the beginning and the ending down. And then down here, this is pretty hard for you guys, where you have all the paradiddle, inverted paradiddle stuff with accents in there. So I don't want the things that I'm saying to make you guys feel overwhelmed or anything, but I'm giving you a strategy. Work on the beginning, work on the ending, work yourself towards the middle. But if you guys want to be successful with this, you got to put in the time over the weekend to make sure you learn the whole thing. Some of this stuff, for instance, you may be able to read through it really slow, but you know you got to play this stuff at the same speed you're playing the beginning and the ending. So that means that personally, on your own personal time, you need to practice this and try to get it up to that speed that you need it at. And sometimes that takes time. Like, it's not something that you can do overnight. It's like sometimes it might take a week for this to really digest in you while you're learning it. So you need to recognize that stuff pretty immediately. So even though you guys as a group work on the beginning and the ending and work towards the middle, but then when you're practicing on your own individually, tackle the harder stuff. Because those are individual issues. As a group, you guys probably won't be a whole very successful working on getting better at that, like as a group. You need to work on that individually, especially since your parts are different. Other than that, the other thing I would urge you guys to make sure you're doing is pay attention to the dynamics while you go through it. That too is something that sort of works itself over time because you're concerned about reading the rhythms. So if you're concerned about reading the rhythms and you haven't done any work on paying attention to where the dynamics are going, it's going to be hard to do that. It's going to be hard to put that in at the last minute. You want to get used to it now. So start by practicing with the dynamics in it. Okay, do you guys have any questions about this before I send you to go practice? All right. So yeah, you guys definitely need to go practice. All right? Here you go. I think you guys can be successful with this. You just need to put the time in. Yours. All right, can you guys just ask someone else or another group, whoever